Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest-running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong. We got a great show coming your way this week. My gosh, I wish we were recording the past 35 minutes. Actually, probably not the best idea given the subject matter we were talking about. It could have been its own show, and we would have blown up. I think we would have actually blown up. The podcast would have blown up.
Our lives would have blown up. It would not have been smart to broadcast that 35 minutes.
Seriously, I looked up. I'm like, my God, we've been talking for this long
I know.
before hitting the record button. Oh, my gosh. Good times. I'm Jeff Warren here with my buddy, Eric Leonard. Eric, buddy, how you doing? I know your son was down at the Phillies game tonight watching Jesus Luzardo pitch in.
And he was texting me the whole time during the game, and it was just really fun to watch. He's 12 and hasn't quite been introduced to the doldrums and blues of being a Philadelphia sports fan.
Yeah.
And he's texting me like, Harper's home run was a monster, Schwarber, Castellanos.
Yes.
And then he texts me, we're down 6-5. And I want
this happen.
Yeah, and I text him back. I'm like, welcome to the club, dude. This is how it works. Awesome hitting, and then all of a sudden the pitching melts down, and and you don't know what the hell happened, and you're down a run, and it's just life as a Philadelphia fan. And I told you before the show, I'm like, when I was 12, I remember watching the Fog Bowl with my dad, Eagles Bears 1988, and the playoffs, and I remember turning around with tears in my eyes to him going, I can't see the field. How are they playing? This isn't fair. And my dad just being like, yeah, that's how it is. This is how it is,
son.
Yep.
My God. I have never seen a meltdown on the mound like Jesus Luzardo had in the fifth inning. Holy shit. I can't remember ever seeing where the pitching is fantastic up until that point. 5-0. And then you walk two guys that when bases are loaded and then give up a grand slam. I don't think I've seen that. I can't remember any time seeing anything like that.
He had a no-hitter going.
I know.
Into the fifth inning. Like,
it's incredible.
And I thought about it. There's a reason, they were able to sign Jesus Luzardo for nothing. I know he's injury prone, but like this is probably kind of who he is. And this is, he's in his ERAs in the 4s. And the Phillies have signed this guy for decades. And especially me as a fan, I've seen this before. So Vinny, welcome to the club. I'm so sorry that you're here for life.
You are. Yes. Yeah. We got a lot more Phillies talk coming your way. First, we're going to get into some Philly sports history. Haven't done that over the past few episodes here. And then we are going to be getting into more Phillies talk. Like I said, they made a move to acquire a bullpen arm and David Robertson. He's coming back to the team. We're also going to talk about whether or not they should make another bullpen move before the July 31st trade deadline. Then we got a new top 3 list. Eric and I love doing top 3 lists. We haven't done one in a while. This top 3 list is going to be real interesting. Athletes who played in Philadelphia for 4 seasons or less, but had a huge, huge impact on their team. And then from there, we got a bunch of NFL and Eagles talk. We've got Ed Kracz from Philadelphia Eagles on SI. He's coming to join us for a discussion about how this Eagles team is looking heading into camp here and this upcoming season. So it's a great, great show. Let's start off with some Philly sports history. I've got 5 different dates that I'm going to throw out. They all deal with the Philadelphia Phillies here. So the first one, we're going to go back to 1902, July 21st.
My favorite team.
Yeah, that's your favorite one. Yes. July 21st, 1902, left-handed pitcher Doc White becomes the first Phillies pitcher to record 4 strikeouts in an inning during a 10-1 loss to Brooklyn. 4 strikeouts.
Okay.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
When I was doing some research, I was like, wow, what don't I get right now in my brain at this particular point in time? But moving on, we're going to move 10 years after that, July 20th, 1912. Sherry Maggie of the Philadelphia Phillies tied in a Major League Baseball record by stealing home twice in a single game. They beat the Chicago Cubs 14-2. Quite the rare feat in baseball at that point. Then we're going to really skip ahead to 1997, July 21st, 1997. After 17 years with the organization, catcher Darren Daulton was traded to the Florida Marlins for outfielder Billy McMillan. And then after that, a few years after that, July 26, 2000, the Phillies traded Curt Schilling to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then we have July 25th, 2015. That's where Cole Hamels threw a no-hitter, his final start as a Philadelphia Philly. What a freaking game that was. I remember that one. But that is this week Philly sports history, Eric. Anything stand out to you aside from the 4 strikeouts in an inning, which I don't get?
Yeah, no, and just to tell the viewer or the viewers and listeners, Jeff doesn't go over these with me before the show, so
Right.
these are like fresh.
Yeah.
A couple thoughts. Doc, is Doc one of the longest standing nicknames in American history, or just American history, or maybe baseball too?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I've 1902, Doc Gooden. Like there's other Docs.
Yeah,
Doc Rivers. Like they're just one of those nicknames that just kind of stuck throughout the years, and we really don't have names like we used to anymore. What was the guy's name? Sherry Maggie. Maggie. That was a man.
Sherry, Maggie. He was a man. Yes.
Crazy name.
Yes.
And then poor Dutch. I mean, not poor Dutch. He went on to. Did he win the World Series '97 with the Marlins?
Was that the year? Didn't he?
Yeah, because I think he was part of that team. Yeah, I think
yes.
He was. Yeah, yes. I think it was like the halftime catcher for them. He played half the games.
Yeah.
Glad Dutch got to win a ring. The Cole Hamels no hitter, totally remember. And then they traded his ass like right after that.
Yes.
But the fourth one, can you read off the names that the Phillies received back for the Curt Schilling trade? Because it's a stellar cadre of names that didn't help us out whatsoever.
Yeah, let me see if I can bring this up really quick right here, because Curt Schilling.
I'm pretty sure Omar Dahl is part of that trade.
Omar Dahl,
yes.
Nelson Figueroa, Travis Lee, and Vicente Padilla.
The flotilla was actually a nice pickup, but the rest of it was absolute dog shit.
Yes.
So to trade away one of the best pitchers of all time, disregarding his politics and his bullshit later on in life, but like an excellent player, multi-ring winner, and that's what they got back.
That's what they got. That's it.
Omar Dahl. There's a whole category of Omar. Like there's so many players the Phillies traded for in the like the landscape of Omar Dahl that like it's why they suck for like 10 fucking years. Omar Dahl was horrible. I was at those games, man. Yes. Like he sucked ass.
Even Travis Lee.
Well, Travis Lee was supposed to be the next big left-handed hitter, the first baseman, and like he was like Von Hayes. Like remember they traded? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And did not work out, just like Von.
Yes. So. Great list of Phillies sports history right there. But let's now move along to actually talking about this current Philadelphia Phillies team. Just this past week, the news broke. Phillies made a move and they acquired, actually, I guess you would say, quote, reacquired bullpen arm David Robertson. And interestingly enough here, Eric, they didn't have to trade any assets away or anything like that to make this move. They did have to lure him away from his family, from his children and his wife, because he wasn't playing on any Major League Baseball team this season at all. So it must have been lucrative enough for him to say, you know what? I need to still continue to provide for my family. I'm going to do this. I'm going to sacrifice. I am going to really just bite the bullet here. David Robertson, come back to the Phillies here, Eric.
Okay, so we had an honest conversation about David Robertson before the show, and I'm always struck by these guys that, quote, retire at like 40, 41.
Right.
And they still have young kids at home. They got the wife. They got the 3 or 4 kids at home. And, like, life on the road's amazing. Baseball's amazing. What a life, right? Especially as a setup. Like, if you're not starting or closing,
right,
a setup man for 20 years of your career. But my dad has always said that is the ultimate job in sports.
Yes.
Like that is the greatest job because or a backup quarterback maybe, because there's no pressure really. You're going to get signed somewhere, especially if you're a left-hander. It's even easier. And like he must have been home for 6 months, sitting in the man cave, heard the 3 kids screaming upstairs. It was like, oh my God. And the Phillies called. I was waiting for this call. Thank God. Like I can't handle it.
What took you guys so long?
Yeah, exactly. Like, my wife just told me to clear the dishwasher out. Like, I'm worth $100 million. Like, I'm coming back. Like, do I? And getting to him and his abilities and his stats, like he was actually pretty damn good last year. He played for the Rangers.
He was
pitched in like 40 games. I looked at his stats.
Yep.
He might be able to help them. I'm not expecting much. I hope there's other moves to be made, which we'll talk about further later.
Yeah. Look, really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, with this contract, you know, this really bothers me about people in sports anymore these days, because it's $16 million that they signed him for. You know, I could, and people are like, oh, it's way too much for a guy who's 40 years. I couldn't care less what they pay. If they wanted to pay him $60 million to be on the field for 3 months, I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's not my money. I want to see some sort of productivity coming to this bullpen. Do I think David Robertson is going to be an upgrade in terms of what we have now and what we're seeing now? Because at the end of the day, like, I mean, when Jose Alvarado got that suspension, it got everything out of whack within this bullpen. And as a result, they need to put a Band-Aid on this because it's just way too up and down all the time. And I think David Robertson has a great opportunity to help stabilize things. I don't care if they pay him $16 million. I don't care if they pay him $30 million for the rest of this year. I really don't. It drives me crazy when people are like that. It's not your money. Who cares?
No, it's always funny to me when fans care about the price of stuff when there's no cap, basically.
Right.
Like there's no cap in baseball, essentially. And there's no cap in football, kind of. Like I think it goes up every year, like $30 million. There's no cap.
Yeah.
Now, when a hockey team or a basketball team signs a guy to too much money, like, fuck, that was stupid, because
then yes,
it's going to mess with the future and signing this guy. But like signing a 40-year-old guy who had a really good season last year, has a history of the team, he's going to be able to perform. He's not your closer anyway. He's not a starter.
Right.
16 million is a drop in the bucket. And by the way, the team's worth $100,000 billion.
Right.
What the hell do you care? 16 million is like pocket change to this team. So like it's not as overly impressive move. It doesn't really move the needle too much for me.
Right.
But if you can give you a couple good innings, like throughout the rest of this, what is it? July 23rd. So you got like 2 months left.
Right.
Got the postseason coming up, and Alvarado can't be there anyway. So like, why not bring a left-handed arm in? Maybe get you some outs. Hopefully it doesn't like screw up too much and give it too many runs. Can't hurt. It's one of those like no lose situations.
Exactly.
So.
I just want him to stabilize things a little bit too. Like he doesn't have to be the greatest arm coming out of the bullpen, you know, this season. I don't care. I just want him to stabilize things a little bit here.
And he's not going to be, because guess what? His first year in the league was 2008.
Yeah.
With the Yankees.
Right.
Like,
yes.
I just had a kid. Like that. Yeah. My kid's going to college in a few weeks. He was on the 2009 Yankees team that beat the Phillies in the World Series. That's how long this motherfucker's been around. Like, I'm not expecting witchcraft here from this guy. I just want him to give us some stabilized innings, like you said, and maybe not have Taijuan Walker's been awesome this year, honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe give him some relief here and there where he doesn't have to like go 3-4 innings. Maybe David can take like 2 innings off his back. So.
Yeah, maybe you can do that. That's the hope for sure.
Yeah.
And as we're looking at this trade deadline coming up, again, July 31st, that's the deadline. Might this team be looking to bolster the outfield too? You know, maybe get another bat in the lineup. Maybe they do make another bullpen move. I mean, I can see this team wanting to possibly bring in an arm with the bullpen that's going to help to get lefties out, you know, a bullpen arm that's going to end up keeping the ball in the yard and actually throwing some strikeouts as well. I mean, we can also look at the fact that we know from reports the Phillies have been showing interest in Stephen Kwan. So that could potentially be on the back burner right now. And the Phillies may actually do that, given the fact that Max Kepler has just been absolutely horrendous. Phillies left fielders this season are hitting 190, the splits 190, 302, and 329. Most of that is falling on Max Kepler, who is just absolutely shitting the bed this season too. We talked a few weeks ago, Eric. Why not bring up outfield prospect Justin Crawford? You know, I think Dave Dombrowski is hinting that may potentially happen at some point here this season. Brandon Marsh, you know, I mean, Jesus God, I think Crawford could theoretically push Brandon Marsh out of center field, even if the Phillies were to acquire a left fielder. So I think this team is going to make some moves here. Might we see some prospects traded? I think that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah, I've kind of lost my patience with Max Krappler and Wet Hair Marsh. Like he's just wet hair mush, honestly. I told you a story before the show. I was watching the game the other night, and Marsh came up with his soaking wet hair, the whole gimmick going on. He struck out. It was a horrible strikeout. It was just like he struck out on 3 pitches. They were bad. And I'm like, and I yelled at the TV, this guy, and my wife was like, what are you yelling at? I'm like, the TV. Like, let me alone. But I can't, like, I just don't like guys that can't, especially guys before the season that were complaining, like, I need more playing time so I can make more money. It's like, no, you suck. That's why you're not making that much money.
Yeah.
Marsh and Kepler have been extremely disappointing. And there's a couple deals on that I've heard rumors about that are like kind of realistic, and I'm hoping they actually proceed or pursue the Guardians trade for Stephen Kwan and Emmanuel Clace, who you get your closer and you get your outfielder to kind of solidify things out there, because Castellanos is doing all the heavy lifting at this point, and as we know, he's extremely up and down, streaky, right?
Yep.
Like Kwan's a good player. He would really help even out that dichotomy in the outfield. If they want to go big time, Mason Miller's out there for the A's. There's no way the A's want to keep him. Like, why? What's the point? You're going nowhere. You're playing in fucking Sacramento or where the hell they're playing.
Right.
They're playing a minor league field. It's a joke. And all the talk about like, well, we can't get rid of these prospects. Well, why can't we? How many times have we not traded prospects that went nowhere? Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you. And I want to keep Crawford. I want to keep Painter.
Crawford. Yes.
And Painter, of course. Aiden Miller, Mick Abel, right? Super young guys. We've seen Abel come up and play. It's been disappointing. There's been some great highlights, but it's also been very disappointing. Why not throw those two in a trade with the Guardians to get those two solid players for a team that's ready to win now? In a National League that's like, it's up in the air, man. Like, have you watched the Dodgers play? Their starting pitching is shit. It's so horrendous. Bad that Ohtani's back pitching now.
I know.
How dare they allow the best player in baseball? You know what? We need your starting pitching. We don't care if you blow your elbow out.
Right.
We'll sacrifice the 50 home runs a year so you can give us 6 innings every 7 days. Like that. Right. That's crazy to me. That I just think the National League is so wide open for the Phillies to like take it, regardless of what happened tonight. But like, I just think there's some really good, like there's some really mediocre teams out there, including the Guardians, that like probably want to sell. And if you got to get rid of like your 3rd and 4th best prospect, just do it. Yeah. Like we've seen this before. It never hits 100%. Yeah. And is Aiden Miller going to be a superstar? Probably not. But can you get Kwan and Clayson here using him and maybe able to do that? Then do it.
This team is continuing to hit a wall. You know, you think, okay, they've got the talent, they've got the bats, they've got the pitching, and then they just hit a wall every now and again. We need some fresh faces on this team in the bullpen and in the batter's box. We just need that at this point, regardless of how talented people are. And Max Kepler is really not that talented. Like there were so many of us that held out hope because Kyle Schwarber wasn't going to be in left field anymore. Yeah. We didn't want to see him in left field anymore. And he's been just absolutely fantastic at the DH. But I'm with you. We got to get some of these trades done here. And that would put this team in a really good position heading into October, and just at the end of the season anyway.
Well, I talked a lot about the Guardians trade. I think making the move for Mason Miller, if you got to give up one of those prospects, and not Crawford or Painter, the A's are going to ask for him, but like you're not going to get him. Yeah, like they're smart enough to realize that, I think, eventually. But like maybe throw some money into the deal. Yeah, to get a guy like that on this team when the starting pitch, like you saw Sanchez last night, he was just a monster.
Unreal.
Like they have two legit righty lefty aces on the squad now. Like Sanchez is a legit Cy Young contender.
Yeah.
And you have those two. And if you had a lights out Mason Miller type of closer and you had to give up Miller and Abel for him, that's a no-brainer to me with this team, because the window is like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, and he's 26. He could be part of that next wave of like whatever you want to do with Crawford and Painter in-house. I think to not want to give up prospects for a guy like that because he's so young and so talented doesn't make any sense to me. And as a fan, I'd be like pissed if I heard they didn't offer that and the A's asked for it. Yeah. I'd be like, then you don't care. You don't want to win this year. Like, yeah.
I completely agree with where you're coming from. Completely agree with it. And, you know, I was just at an Iron Pigs game this past week with our good friend of the show, Josh Schuster, and his son and daughter. Josh Schuster from PhiladelphiaSoccerNow.com, does some of the Eagles postgame shows with us as well. And you're looking at some of the talent within the farm system, and it's a little bit slim pickings at this point here.
A little light. Yeah.
Yes, a little light. Yep. While you hate to, well, I don't want to say hate, while it's sometimes, you know, you got to bite the bullet in terms of some of these prospects because of what you see in the minors at this point, it needs to be done with the window that you're talking about here.
Well, and like my argument is always like, okay, name me a Phillies prospect we traded away in the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
That made a difference for any team that they got traded to. Look at the Roy Halladay trade, right?
Yeah.
They gave it to Drebeck kid, Travis Darnaud. I'm sure there was somebody, I can't think of it now. Didn't happen. Like nothing happened for those guys.
Yeah.
And the guys they kept, they're like, we can't possibly get rid of these guys. They did nothing either.
Right.
Like not a lot of guys from the Phillies farm system have come up and like done much, except for the current team right now with Stott and sorry, the kid in third base, but
Alec Bohm.
Bohm. Like they have some solid players and like, but like and Nola and everything, but like there's just this long hit. The trade deadline always drives me crazy in baseball. Like we can't possibly get rid of our sixth prospect.
Yeah,
it's like this. There's 80% chance he's not even going to play in the major leagues. So
right?
Who gives a shit? Like let's win now.
Yes, absolutely. All right, folks. Well, if you're, we'd love to get your thoughts, whether you're watching on YouTube, comments below. Let us know what you're thinking about the Phillies here before the trade deadline. You can also shoot us off an email, PhiladelphiaSportsTable@gmail.com. We'd love to read your email here on the show and respond to it. We are going to take a break, but before that, our social media, follow us there on Twitter /X at Philadelphia PST. You can follow me at Jeffrey_Warren and Eric at Brick Pollitt. We're over on Instagram as well at Slen1023 for Eric. You can follow me at Mr. Jeff Warren and the show at Philadelphia Sports Table. You can search us out also on Blue Sky. We are over there. Threads, like our Facebook page. I'm on TikTok at Mr. Jeff Warren. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we get back, we got our top three list, the new top three list. Then we're going to get into some NFL and Eagles talk. Stick with us. All right, we are back, and we are now going to be getting into our new top three list. It is the top three athletes who played in Philadelphia for 4 seasons or less, but had such a huge impact on the teams that they were playing for. So we are going to, here on YouTube, switch up our cameras a little bit here because we got some graphics going on. Ooh. Eric, let's start off with number 3 for you. Do you have any honorable I don't have any honorable mentions. I just have 3 guys, 3 players here. And yes, they are all men. 3 players here to start us off with. Do you have any honorable mentions or anything?
Well, I'm a complete idiot. I just realized you said athletes who played for 4 seasons or less. I came up with 4 players.
Yeah.
Because I thought 4 and I skipped the top 3 parts. So I'll make one of
one of them the honorable mention.
I'm one of those smart guys that misses this obvious thing in front of you sometimes. So can you flash up anybody when I say it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll make this one honorable mention. Peter Forsberg. My honorable
Oh,
mention.
Peter Forsberg. Here we go.
So
what a great pick too.
So we traded him away in the Lindros trade in what was it, 94?
94, I think. Yes.
Yeah. And I was super into the Flyers then, and that was our freshman year of college, and super into the Flyers because they were so good. And Lindros was coming to town, and it was like, wow, this is really exciting.
I think it was 92, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, 93. I think it was 93, and then 94. Yeah, and then they drafted him in 92. Yeah, you're right. And they traded him away, and it was like, well, we got Lindros, and we got these other guys, Desjardins, and number 10, what's his name? Help me out.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm the Flyers fans will kill me, but I actually cared about the Flyers back then, people.
I know
I'm
you
telling
did.
you. So, and then this guy named Forsberg got traded away. I was like, whatever, you know. And then he went on to win with the Avalanche.
Yes.
And then he came back in like 2005 season. I think it was after the lockout, right?
Yes.
And I was actually living in Philly then, super into the Flyers. I went to a ton of Flyers games when I lived down there. I lived in Old City. And he was the one year he played with the Flyers, and he was like 34, 35 years old. He's near the end of his career. And I went to a bunch of those games, and I was like, what a fucking mistake it was trading this guy. Why, God, he's so talented. Yeah. Amazing. Like, he was 35, and I think he came in 8th place in like the MVP voting. I think he had like 40 goals, and he was one season with the Flyers. But I was like, what a kind of cool story for him to come. And 610 WIP talked about all the time back then. Like, what a cool story for him to come back and kind of like have one good season with the team that drafted him. But not even a good season. Like, he was one of the central focus points of that team. He was really damn good. And then that was it for him. He kind of I think he played the next year, and that was he never played again. And
in 2006, he actually became the 15th captain in Flyers history.
Yeah,
like that's how important he was to the team.
Like one of those utmost professional players. Like, everyone respected him in the league, and just it was like, man, I wish I could have seen what his career would have been with the Flyers if he had just stayed, not been part of the Lindros trade.
Yeah.
So
it's a great pick for a guy who played with this team for 4 seasons or less. Absolutely. Well, let's move on to your number 3 here. Who's that going to be?
Number 3 is Jim Thome.
Oh, easily. Yeah, baby.
I honestly, like, I was kind of shocked. I went back looking at his stats. Hit 612 home runs career wise, and I lived in Philly when he joined the Phillies, and it was the biggest fucking story easily. Like, the Phillies were in no man's land. The Sixers were hot. Eagles were really good. Flyers were pretty damn good too. And the Phillies were going nowhere. It was 2003. It was the last year of the vet. Big celebration year for that. But it was basically like people getting drunk at the vet going, yeah, this piss hole's getting knocked down. Like,
right.
But they weren't very good, you know? And Thome came in and made them a legit team. Like, they were actually a legitimate baseball team. And just his presence, his home run hitting, his professionalism made them an actual baseball team that you actually had to care about in the city. And I can't believe he was only there for 3 years. I had no clue.
I know. Yeah.
Because he was worshipped across the city. Like, I'm telling you, there were, if it wasn't an Eagles or Sixers jersey, it was a Jim Thome t-shirt in the city, like downtown, like everywhere. It was Jim Thome. It was the only Philly anyone gave a shit about in 03 and 04 and even 05, honestly. Like, Rollins wasn't Rollins yet. Like, the young guys just weren't quite there yet. But like, Jim Thome honestly kind of changed the whole cycle of the Phillies leading to 2008, in my opinion. I really do think, like, he made the Phillies a legit baseball organization just by coming but I can't believe he was only there for 3 years. It's shocking.
I know. It is. Look, I will never forget. It was the day after my birthday it was June 14th, 2004. He hit his 400th career home run, and he ended that 2004 season batting .274, 42 home runs, and 105 RBIs in 143 games. Just an incredible, incredible feat. And like you said, he provided legitimacy to what the Philadelphia Phillies were back then because of that home run hitting. And again, that 274 average in 2004, that really just, he was a god. He was a Philly sports athlete type of god back then, and rightfully so, because he got the team to that next level, where then of just a few years later, they would be winning the World Series. It just, I think it's a fantastic number 3. Fantastic.
Well, he was that bridge to the next,
yes,
like of the team. I remember in 03, like 03, I went to like probably 15 to 20 home games, because I just lived down there, and I had a partial season home tickets for 04. But 03, like, it's the vet. It's not the short porch. It is at the bank right now. It just, we've all been at the vet. It's just a monstrous, disastrous facility. Yeah. And that motherfucker hit like over 40 home runs, and that thing just crushed the ball, and actually got people excited for the team. I have so much appreciation for Jim Thome.
Absolutely. All right. Well, moving along here, my number 3 is going to be the one, the only Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens was only played for the two Eagles for 2 seasons in 2004 and 2005. One of the most dominant wide receivers in Eagles history. Yes. And he did play in the Super Bowl with a broken leg, still nearly won it for Philadelphia. But really, I mean, he was such a huge factor in the Eagles reaching that Super Bowl for the first time since 1980. There was only so much that the Eagles wide receiver core, Eric, was going to be able to do with Torrance Smalls back then and Todd Pinkston. Actually, I don't know if
Thrash.
I know James. I don't know if Torrance Smalls was on the team in 2004 when he.
No, not 04, but he was on the previous teams where you're like, who the fuck is Minaj going to throw to? My God.
Exactly. But look at this. In 2004, going to the Super Bowl, 77 receptions, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he did that in just 14 games. Tied a franchise single season record at the time. Of course, that has since been broken. But
that's 2004. This is not like Tyreek Hill,
right?
2023, kind of stats. Like, this is before. It was a passing league, but it's still kind of a running back league too.
Yes.
And I can speak to this. I live downtown. I walked around in a TO jersey all the time.
Yes.
He owned
As you
the
should have.
Yes. And I have one Eagles jersey left. I've thrown out all my other ones because I'm an awful jersey buyer, as we've talked about in the show. I have one jersey left. It's TO, because he absolutely changed Philadelphia Eagles fandom across the city in 04. And like, my God, he changed the entire team. Like, if we, for younger listeners, like, you watch today's football and like just the explosiveness and the receiving, the Eagles had James Thrash and like Todd Pinkston the previous year and lost in the NFC title game. It was a fucking joke. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. And you're just like, we're never going to win the NFC title game or go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This guy came in, and his first preseason game against the Ravens, he went for it, and he was doing the wave.
Yep.
And his first game against the Giants, the first home game, he had 3 touchdowns, and he was just like, and it was just like, wow, this guy changed the entire organization in like a couple weeks.
Yeah. In a couple weeks. That's it. I remember thinking, am I ever going to see the Eagles in the Super Bowl? It was back then. Am I ever going to see it? Because the last memory I had was, seriously, I was 3 years old. Remember, in my living room, my dad is watching the Eagles. The only thing I remembered was my dad saying, "Oh, stupid Jaworski," right after he threw that last interception.
The Raiders.
Yes.
Eagles, yep.
That was the last thing I remembered in terms of an Eagles Super Bowl. And then Terrell Owens being that guy. And the chemistry that he and Donovan McNabb had too.
For 1 year.
Yeah, for 1 year. Yes. That chemistry was just incredible. Their duo, I mean, they really became one of the most feared wide receiver quarterback tandems in the NFL during that time. So that's my number 3.
Well, and just to kind of beat up T.O. a little bit, like, not the smartest businessman football player. Like,
right.
So he was with the 49ers for years, right? And never had advertisements out there. not a well-liked guy, came to Philly, was beloved across the
Yes.
city, and was actually getting like national advertisements.
Yes.
He had right guard, I think, and some other stuff, and he was in the soup commercials with McNabb at one point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, and when the next year when he's doing bicep curl or whatever things in his front yard in his drive
In his
and,
driveway.
and fucking his career up, I just remember thinking like, dude, you made it. What are you doing? Like
Mhm.
football contracts, who cares? Like you're actually on the advertisement contract, like
Yeah.
train now, like that's where you make the real money. And you just want to take him aside and go, be smarter. Like this is your avenue to actually make money and be famous, and that's what you want to do. And he totally fucked it up. But man, that 1 year, my God, he was
Unreal.
yeah.
Unreal. All right, man. Who's your number 2 at this point here with our list?
I'm gonna go Keith Jackson from the Eagles,
Ooh,
tight end
there
for
you
the
go.
Eagles. Again, another one of those guys I looked up his stats. And I'm like, only 3 years with the Eagles.
Yeah.
But like anything, like when any music you hear, movies you watch when you're like 13, 14, 15, they become your favorite music probably for life.
Yeah.
Favorite movies probably for life. The Eagles from like 88 to like 90 were like or 91, like that was my, like that's in my heart to this day. Love those teams.
Yep.
And he was the tight end, and probably my favorite Eagle besides Randall, and made me realize like, oh, the tight end is like cool. The tight end is like, it's not a running, or I'm going to block you, and like the
Right.
guy's run over.
He made it cool for us in Eagles Nation.
Yeah, he was, because they didn't have great receivers either. I mean, they had Chris Carter and Mike Quick, but Mike Quick was aging, and their running backs weren't great. But Keith Jackson was kind of in the middle of those guys, and he was really fucking talented. He's one of those like early, extremely athletic tight ends. I think he like kind of broke the mold a little bit in the late 80s as a tight end. You look at his stats, and I looked at him, and it's like, oh, he had 750 yards receiving and like 6 touchdowns. But like, I think you have to put that like in the, you have to kind of look at that like old movies
in
like,
that era.
Yeah, like okay, 1981, this movie made $30 million. Well, today it'd be like $150 million, right?
Right.
So I think like in 1988 tight end terms, 750 yards receiving is like 1250, and 7 touchdowns is like 12 touchdowns. So like he was an elite tight end, and it makes sense. He made the Pro Bowl, and he was like one of the top tight ends in the league. But it was only 3 seasons, and
he was rookie of the year. He was rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year, and I think he helped change the tight end position across the NFL over time. Like not immediately, but like I think now you have these super athletic tight ends that score tons of touchdowns and get reset. I think he was one of the first ones.
Back in 1988, when you have a tight end with 81 receptions, 869 yards, and 6 touchdowns, that is incredible, especially coming in during your rookie season. I mean, he was a first-round selection by the Eagles in the 1988 draft, but still, like, you're right. He really helped to change the trajectory of what the tight end position now is today. He helped navigate that and really create that foundation for, you know what, you can actually be a tight end who blocks, but also catches the ball and also catches touchdowns from your quarterback. So I love
not just catch passes, but like juke guys out.
Yeah.
And like run up, not huge guy, run over tacklers or jump over them.
Right.
I really think he helped change the game for tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's a great number 2. My number 2, I am going to a Philadelphia Phillies pitcher, and that pitcher is Roy Halladay. Man, what an incredible career we know that he had, but his tenure with the Phillies was from 2010 to 2013. And you could just go down his resume. I mean, just a Cy Young Award winner, which was the second of his career, the first in the National League in 2010. He had a 21-10 record at that point in 2010. 2010 was fantastic for him. 2.44 ERA, 219 strikeouts. He led the Major League Baseball in wins, complete games at 9, shutouts 4, innings pitched, 250.2 innings. What about the perfect game that he threw? May 29th, 2010 against the Florida Marlins. It was the 20th perfect game in Major League Baseball history. The Phils, that game, offense didn't help them out too much, but they
1-0.
won 1-0. Yep. Unreal. And then the postseason no-hitter against the Reds. Roy Halladay, like all in on him, of course.
Yeah, and just the consummate professional baseball player.
Yep.
Like one thing that always jumped out at me is I had never heard of the term arm slot from a pitcher. And he's the first guy that I ever like watch videos on YouTube of, like, his arm slot and his hand position on the ball was the same for every single pitch he threw.
Yeah.
And it's why he was so good. Besides his training and like just, I mean, you see the picture up here of him. He's a monster. Like,
You're on YouTube. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Just a beast. And but again, to be able to throw your fastball, curve, like all your pitches from that same arm slot to confuse the hitters, like that's like ninja kind of shit, like chess kind of stuff. Like, I don't know how you do that over time, but like just, and like one of the most cerebral, smarter pitchers of all time and baseball players. And by the way, one of the most underrated Philadelphia sports night of all time was his perfect game was the same night the Flyers were playing, I think, the Blackhawks in the finals, and they won in overtime, I believe.
Oh my gosh, I've completely forgot about that.
Yeah, because I remember my buddy and I were in Harrisburg going back and forth, like, what do we watch? The Flyers game's tied. He's got a perfect game. Like, it was just, I just think like there's probably better Philadelphia sports nights, but I remember that one being like, I don't even know. This is before like having split screen or having your phone to watch. Just being like, I don't know what to do. Go back and forth quick. Like, it's just so much fun.
This is a great discussion here, man. I just these memories, coming back of this starting pitching unit and the fact that, Roy Halladay, I mean, yes, we're talking about the 2010 year that was monumental, but his 2011 year, folks, I mean, he went 19-6 with a 2.35 ERA.
He threw a no-hitter in the playoffs.
Yes, I know. Just and somehow he finished second in Cy Young voting. Yes, Clayton Kershaw was the Cy Young winner that year, but still, just absolutely loved what he did on the mound in Philly. Eric, who is your number one here?
Well, my number one, you know my love for this guy. When I go to the beach, I wear his jersey all the time on the sand. Moses Malone, one of my favorite Sixers of all time. But again, one of those guys I'm just like, I only played for the Sixers for 3 years. Holy shit. I didn't realize. Now I'm discounting his season in the 95 season, I think it was, or what? Okay. No. It was like the mid 90s. He came back for like 20, 30 games. He was 38 years old. I'm throwing that out on Jeff. I'm sorry, I'm breaking the rules.
Okay.
That doesn't count. He averaged like 4 points. It was just sad. But like the Sixers traded for him. He came in. They won the 83 title, demolished every fucking team in front of them. It was the 4-4 season.
Yep.
Lost one game to the Lakers, whatever. And it's just like they're the most dominant team that year in the era that the Celtics and Lakers were like just killing everybody.
Yeah.
This came in and just fucking slapped everyone in the face.
He was MVP in 82 and 83.
Yeah, and he was MVP in before he's a 3-time MVP.
79 too, right?
Yeah, he's an all-timer.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest players of all time, probably top 15 if you really if you lay it out. And the only reason they won 83 was trading for Moses. And I really when he passed away, my first thing on Twitter or Facebook was, I guess God needed a championship. because that was like when they traded for him, it was like, well, we needed him. Like, that's just like,
yes.
But like he changed the entire franchise from like, we just can't get over the fucking hump from 76 to 77 to 80. And they couldn't beat Magic. He came in 83, kicked Magic's ass, kicked Kareem's ass at their peak, and just killed everybody. Like he's one of the best Sixers of all time, and he played here for 3 years. Like, it's just
That's it. You know, the magic that he had also with Dr. J, you know, especially in 83, you know, you watch some of those, excuse me, you watch some of those clips and him being named the NBA Finals MVP as well. You know, when you are such a talented athlete, whether it's like we were talking about Terrell Owens, you know, you talk about Moses Malone. If your talent can get your team to championship caliber level and completely transform a team or a unit or whatever, I mean, you just go down in the history books as one of the greatest of all times. You know,
Yeah,
you say he's top 15. I would argue possibly top 10.
probably top 10, top 12, honestly.
Yeah.
Like it starts to he starts to get pushed down throughout the years because of like the Durants and those kinds of players.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I understand that, but like the guy, he was a high school phenom, got drafted at 19, came in the ABA at 19, and dominated immediately. Like
Yeah.
The ABA was a really competitive league, and the guy played for 20 some years. And for him to get traded to the Sixers in 83, when the NBA landscape was like so competitive, Lakers and Celtics were killing everybody. And he just was like, this team's good. We got Doc, we got Andrew Toney. I see him in the picture now. We got Mo, and we got Bobby Jones. To put him in this team and then just demolish the league, like just shows how good a player he was. And like I hope over time his legacy doesn't get forgotten, because I sure as shit won't let it happen. But like,
Yeah.
he is one of the best ever.
Yep. It's great. That is a great number one. And as we close out this particular segment here before we get to some football talk, and it's kind of a nice dovetail into it. My number one athlete who played in Philly for 4 seasons or less, but had a huge impact on their team, was none other than the first Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagle MVP in Nick Foles. Nick Foles taking the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017 season, as we know, to the Super Bowl. Eagles winning their first Super Bowl ever, the most unlikely end of the season and playoff run perhaps of any team in NFL history. Again, he was a Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 52. He threw for 373 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught the iconic Philly special play that was a 4th and 1 from the goal line. And that year too, or I should say, when he was on the team previously with Chip Kelly being the head coach, he threw 27 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions in 2013. That tied a record, 7 touchdowns in a single game against the Raiders. If you happen to remember that game, I was crapping my pants. I remember after that. I remember I was like, oh my God, that's back when Len and I were just doing the show, and we got on, did the Eagles post-game show. That was great. Excuse me. So Nick Foles, man, I mean, for me, he's got to be the number one in terms of this list.
I agree, and I held off on that one because I knew you were going to pick him. So
hey, Moses is still up. Like him and Moses are still like right.
Yeah, because they brought championships. Like none of the guys we mentioned like actually brought championships. So
right.
I will say about Nick Foles, like his best game as an Eagle was actually not the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think it was the Vikings game before that, the NFC title game.
It was incredible. Yeah,
because that was okay. So you remember, like they finished the season. He was a little shaky. It wasn't great. Yeah. And they barely beat the Falcons in the first round. And you're like, oh my God, that was really close. Like, Julio Jones could have caught that and we're out of the playoffs.
Yep.
And then the Vikings game happens. My buddy Macra's over, and I'm watching the game with him. And this dude is fucking slicing up the Vikings defense, which was awesome all year. And they're up like 27 to 3 at one point in the second half. And my buddy and I, Mac, are like, what the fuck is happening? This guy's killing this fucking thing. And we're just like, I didn't know he had that in him.
Yes.
So that was the game that actually built up the confidence in him, where I wasn't surprised that it happened in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Vikings game was the game I was like, this guy's the real fucking deal. Like along with the offensive coordinators and everything, but like that was the game I'm like, this guy is fucking great. And it actually like fucked Chip Kelly, because like this guy did that. It wasn't Chip Kelly necessarily. This guy's
Exactly.
good. And that Vikings game kind of like, it cemented that for me.
Yeah, that flea flicker for a touchdown to Torrey Smith, that right then and there, I was like, this is the most magical thing that I have ever seen from the Philadelphia Eagles team at this point in the game. Unbelievable. So that was a fun segment for sure. And let's get back to how everything's supposed to look here on YouTube. And now, before we get to our interview, we're going to be talking to Ed Kracz from Philadelphia Eagles over on SI. We want to get into just real quick storylines that we're going to be looking forward to this coming NFL season here. What have you been given this any thought? Like, what you're really thinking about in terms of this upcoming season? So there's so many storylines, like whether it's with every team or, there's positives, there's negatives. What are your thoughts here?
I've got 3 big ones, and they all kind of tie into the, well, not so much the one, but like tie into the Eagles.
Okay.
Because we're the Super Bowl fucking champs.
Yeah.
And everything else doesn't matter. All the other teams can eat my ass. So, I'll do the AFC story last, but like my number one story, honestly, is the Rams are scary, the LA Rams, and like I think across the NFC landscape, I'm not really afraid of any team as an Eagles fan.
Yeah,
that's the one team that kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
And 2 reasons why I love their off-season moves. I thought they really handled the off-season correctly. Built up a great defense. I think they, like most NFL teams, they looked across like, okay, what did the Eagles do to win? Let's copy that a little bit. And they re-signed their quarterback because they had to. They brought in Devontae Adams, who's a great number 2, not a number 1 anymore. I should like that signing. And they built up, they kind of strengthened their offensive line. They kind of, and then drafted based to kind of build their defense, because that's how the Eagles won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Basically. And I went back the other night because I was, because I'm a weirdo. I was like, sometimes I watch old Eagles games, and especially the playoff stuff. Like YouTube has those awesome like 20-minute videos where like you just watch the entire playoff game.
Yeah.
And I was listening to podcasts recently, with NFL preseason podcasts, and they're just like, man, the Eagles almost lost to the Rams. And I'm like, no, they fucking didn't. Like in the NFC title game, like screw that.
Yeah.
Went back and watched. I'm like, they kind of did. They almost lost to them.
Yeah.
And it really bothered me. And I was like, because I was always arguing in my head, like, I was like, no, I don't agree with that. And then I watched the game on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, if Jalen Carter doesn't make those 2 plays in the fourth quarter, the Rams might be going to the Super Bowl. The Eagles aren't. Like, it bothered me. And then I saw what they did in the offseason. I'm like, okay, the Rams absolutely could make a run in the NFC and disrupt the Eagles like dynasty kind of going forward. That's one of the biggest, that's the number 1 storyline. I'm not doing Eagles storylines because who cares? Like
Same here.
Mm-hmm. But like the Rams one and their ability to possibly like make a run and beat the Eagles, like, concerns me as a fan.
One of the storylines I'm following, and it kind of dovetails off of that, but in a way where I think the team is going to take steps back, because this team faced the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And the Washington Commanders, after its best season that they've had in 33 years, that question is, can Dan Quinn in his second season do this again? Will Jaden Daniels be able to do this again? Can they build off that NFC Championship game appearance? I don't know if they can, because just like with Jalen Hurts, when he was, quote, getting figured out, during his second season, Jaden Daniels is going to get figured out in certain ways. Are they going to be as successful as they were last season, this Washington Commanders team? I have a feeling they're going to take some steps back, even though they made some offseason moves that would hopefully help propel them. When you look to where you are or where you were the previous year and where you want to go, I don't know if the moves that they made make them a Super Bowl team, because that's inevitably the next step for them after losing the NFC Championship game. So where the Commanders go, and then where the stupid Dallas Cowboys end up going too, with their awful owner who can't talk during his press conferences and who's shitting on Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott. It's incredible where that organization is. So I don't know if the NFC East in general is going to necessarily be the quote powerhouse that we've seen it over the past few seasons, but the Washington Commanders in general, that's the storyline that I'm really going to be watching early on, just to see what's going to be happening with Jaden Daniels and with the defense too. I just don't. I think they're going to take some steps back this coming season.
Yeah, and I apologize. I flipped the games. The Cums were the title game.
Right? No, yeah.
But that's my second storyline is the Cums.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And in my belief that they're going to take a major step back. Every year some team like goes further than you think, and every year some team takes a huge step back, right?
Yeah.
From the playoffs. And I don't think it's not going to be the Eagles. They're too consistent, not the Lions. I think the Cums are like so ready to make a major step back.
Yeah.
And whether that be a Jaden Daniels injury, like they had a lot of history or a lot of injury luck last year, including him, because he is a phenomenally talented, athletic quarterback, but like really thin and just due for like he's not Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson is jacked.
Right.
And when he runs, I'm not scared. When Jaden Daniels runs, it's like, ugh, cinnamon stick legs out there, right?
A little wafer.
Yeah, a little wafer, a bird chest, right? Like, and I'm like, man, he might take a shot that puts him out for 4 weeks. Like,
yeah.
And who's their backup? I have no idea.
I'm not even sure who their backup is.
Exactly. That's the exact team. You're like,
yeah,
you have no backup. If this goes south for 4 weeks, you're probably out of the playoffs. So like that is a team to me that is like absolutely could take a huge step back. It's some of the signings you're talking about. They signed Von Miller, and I'm like, Von Miller, the guy that was suspended last year for the Bills that didn't do shit. Like,
yeah,
you gave him like how many $1 million? Like
the tail end of his career. I mean, the tail end of his career.
Some of the signings they made, I'm like, those feel like desperate veteran moves when you're kind of at the end of your window, not at the beginning of your window.
Remember when they did it with Bruce Smith back in the day? When Bruce Smith was on the Bills, you knew the end of his.
Correct.
His career was really on the horizon, and it just happened when he got down to Washington.
I just didn't. Some of the moves they made and the luck they had last year, they reek to me of a team that's like absolutely due for a possible like down year. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. A team that I'm also going to be looking at too, and I'm just going to go quick, just in the essence of time here, but the Denver Broncos are very intriguing to me. Mm-hmm. I wonder what adjustments. And I wonder what adjustments Sean Payton is going to make in year 2 with Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix was one of the most underrated storylines I thought last year. You want to talk about a quarterback who is developing. Look, many of the short and intermediate routes he was so successful with in a 29 touchdown rookie season. It might be better covered as, defensive coaches, again, just like Jaden Daniels, they're going to figure out Bo Nix a little bit more. Is he going to be able to throw to the outside, where the outside numbers are? His effectiveness as a runner is no longer going to be a surprise as it was last season. But Bo Nix seems to be a guy who is coachable. And I think very much like, I'm not comparing him to Jalen Hurts, but he seems to be a guy who gets it, who's very coachable, like Jalen Hurts. I think Bo Nix is going to take some steps forward, which means the Denver Broncos offense is also going to take some steps forward as well. I think the Denver Broncos are going to be a very interesting team to follow this season.
I agree. And they made the playoffs last year, which who the hell thought that was going to happen?
Yeah, I know.
And Bo Nix was drafted into the perfect situation because I think as we've discovered, there's some really bad coaches in the NFL, just like the NBA.
Yeah.
But the Denver Broncos coach is not bad. Sean Payton is an excellent coach, and he found the perfect opportunity for himself to come out of the announcing booth or whatever, and become a coach. And like he probably, I think he pushed for Bo Nix because he kind of saw something, and he's like, I can mold this dude into what I want him to be. and it absolutely worked last year. And like I said, he's actually a really good athlete, which I didn't realize about him coming out of college. Not a Jaden Daniels kind of athlete, but like, I don't know. I think they're going to make the playoffs again, and I think they're actually going to. I agree with you. I think they're going to make a leap.
Yeah,
because they're a really good defense too. That's a huge part.
All right. Well, buddy, do you have anything else before we head out of here? Before I let you go?
No.
Okay.
My last NFL point. I think the Bills are going to finally make the leap. I think that's the big one. I think they're going to make. I think they're finally going to push through the Chiefs, make the Super Bowl. I'm not biased because my daughter's going to Buffalo, but like I honestly think that's going to happen. So
all right, I can't wait. If it's going to be look, putting the cart before the horse, saying it, but a Bills Eagles Super Bowl would be pretty freaking incredible.
Incredible.
It would be. All right, buddy. I'm going to let you go, folks. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we got a ton of Eagles talk with our good friend Ed Kracz from Philadelphia Eagles over at SI. We got some great discussions coming your way. Stick with us. We'll be right back. And we are back with our good friend Ed Kracz to talk about this Philadelphia Eagles team, what this upcoming season may look like. If you've been following the Philadelphia Sports Stable podcast show for any bit of time, you'll know that Ed is one of our good friends and a fantastic guest. He is an Eagles beat reporter and has been for well over a decade. I think maybe going on 11, 12 years at this point, Ed. But
yeah. A little longer, 14 to be honest.
14? Oh my gosh, time flies.
Yeah,
time flies. But Ed's got fantastic content over at SI and Eagles Today. Buddy, thanks so much for jumping on, man, to dive into this Eagles team. I can't wait for some football, and it's great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, great to see you, Jeff. Yeah, it's like Christmas in July here.
Yes.
With training camp about to break and, nonstop action from here.
Absolutely.
Little January.
Yeah, Ed, let's get into the discussion right away about this Eagles team, some of the storylines we're following, what we may be seeing during training camp and beyond. I wanted to get into an article that you recently wrote. You went into some of those questions that we're going to be needing to hash out over the coming weeks and early in this season when it comes to this Eagles team. I think the first and biggest one, and you mentioned it in your article, is offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo, his readiness to lead the offensive side of things. You mentioned how Patullo, he has been around for some time since Nick Sirianni arrived on the scene in 2021. Last year, Kellen Moore's at the helm, as we know. He's now down in New Orleans. Kellen Moore had to quickly pick up what this Eagles offense was, what Nick Sirianni wanted it to be, to build those relationships with those team members and guys on the offense. So what kind of leader and coach do you think we're going to see in terms of what Kevin Patullo is really going to bring to the table early in this season?
Yeah, I think he brings consistency. Jalen Hurts has had several offensive coordinators going back to his time at Alabama and then Oklahoma and then in Philadelphia when Peterson was here with Press Taylor. So there have been a lot of different configurations of the offense, but I think Patullo, you mentioned he's been here since Sirianni got here. That was 2021. So this is 5 years now that he has been in that building, on the sideline, at practices, getting to know the players, building relationships with the players. And I think him and Jalen Hurts have a pretty good relationship. Now, that could be good or bad if you're too close to him and you're more of a yes man and you're bending to what Jalen wants. But, my take on Kevin Patullo and talking to people is he's going to, if you're not doing things the right way or the way he wants them done, then he's going to call you out no matter how strong that relationship might be.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. The flip side of it, Jeff, is the coaching, the calling of the plays aspect. He has never called plays before in a game. And, Nick Sirianni's not taking that mantle over to call plays. That is just being handed to Kevin Patullo, just like it was to Kellen Moore. Can he do it? Once he's in that spot, Nick has said that him and Kellen Moore really did a good job on game days communicating plays between each other, talking a couple plays down the road. If this is the situation, what are we calling here? So he has that kind of experience, but his is going to be kind of the final voice in Jalen Hurts' ear is this is the play. He's going to be in the helmet. And then, of course, Jalen can come to the line, and if he sees, a defense that is going to take that play away, he can audible out of it. But it's going to be incumbent on Patullo to call the plays, and we'll see if he can do that once the clock is beginning to tick, the play clock's winding down. Is he going to be effective doing that? It might be some growing pains there.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised maybe if there were, because of this relationship they had, because of the closeness between him and Kellen Moore last year. So I think it'll be seamless, but it's something to certainly watch here in the early days.
Absolutely. Look, there's a lot to keep our eyes on during this early part of, what this Eagles season is going to be, quite frankly. And while we're all still on that high from the Super Bowl, so many of us are. We feel there's so many folks I talk to. It's like we actually don't want the season to start because we just want to keep riding the amazing Super Bowl that it was. We want to keep riding that high. But Ed, you also wrote about how we're going to need to keep our eyes on these injuries and how the injuries, like during the offseason, have manifested, and, the recovery time for these guys. Nakobe Dean is still nursing his knee injury. First round pick in this past year's draft, Jihad Campbell, he's been dealing with a shoulder injury. We know that Nolan Smith, he tore his tricep during the Super Bowl. He's been nursing that. Cam Jurgens, he's had some back problems going back to last season as well. When do you think we'll end up seeing these players on the field, first and foremost? And second, Ed, what kind of depth do you think we're going to need to really keep our eyes on with these Eagles players if there are any setbacks to these, starters, or if they have trouble getting on the field in a timely fashion?
Yeah, well, that's the danger of playing these extra playoff games is you open yourself up to at greater risk of getting hurt. You said Nolan Smith in the Super Bowl. Nakobe Dean tore his knee in the first round of the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers. So those are two key players, obviously. And, I think, Nolan Smith will be okay. I mean, he's probably there's a lot of tough guys on this team, but Nolan Smith doesn't take a backseat to any of them.
Right.
And he did some stuff during the spring. So I suspect he'll be up and rolling sooner rather than later, maybe even, day one or day two. I'm not so sure of Jihad Campbell. I think they really want him to get as healthy as he can be. But, we saw when Cooper DeJean missed most of summer training camp last year, it took him till week 6 before they put him in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
They're going to need Jihad Campbell a little sooner than that, especially because Nakobe Dean's probably going to start on the PUP list with that knee injury. Who knows when he'll be back? Pretty serious knee injury. The one that I'm concerned about, and maybe the Eagles are too, because they drafted another center in Drew Kendall, is the center, Cam Jurgens. Those back injuries, if you ever had any back problems, they can be pretty debilitating, and they're tough injuries to overcome. You can get a knee replacement, shoulder replacement, hip replacement, but you only get one back.
Yeah.
You can't replace that. So you really have to be careful with it. He had a procedure done on it. I'm not exactly sure what he had done. Maybe we'll get to the bottom of it, once camp gets rolling. But it's something to watch. And that's why I think the Eagles might have shown a little concern. Now, I know they extended Jurgens here in the offseason. He's here through 2029. So long-term, maybe they're not as concerned. But short-term, they drafted Drew Kendall, I think was the best center in the draft out of Boston College. His dad was in the NFL, longtime guard in the NFL. But Drew Kendall, he's there waiting if Cam can't answer the bell in a timely fashion, or if this injury flares up during the course of the season and might need a week or two off, you have a guy in Drew Kendall that can do the job. So by drafting him, what was it, in the 4th round, or I think the 5th round, maybe?
4th or 5th, yeah.
4th or 5th, that indicates to me that, maybe the Eagles have a little bit of concern on Cam Jurgens.
Right.
So, that's the one I think, Jeff, that would concern me most is the one for Cam Jurgens.
All right. Sounds good. And we'll certainly be keeping our eyes on that here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show. And something else we're going to be keeping our eyes on, quite frankly, Ed. And last week on the show, I talked about this. I mentioned how I'm a bit concerned with Eagles kicker Jake Elliott. I mean, he had a brutal regular season last year in 2024, making 77.8% of his kicks, which was 26th in the league in kicking during the regular season. However, things started coming together for him during the playoffs. He was a major contributor during the Super Bowl as well. So yes, ended the season strong, but there were a lot of questions during the course of the offseason. What are your thoughts when it comes to Jake Elliott, when it comes to that leg of his, where he's at in his career, and really if we should be concerned with his leg coming into this season?
Well, you know how kickers are, right?
Yeah.
They're a different animal, different headspace.
Yep.
But yeah, and that's a good question because not a lot of people are probably thinking about Jake Elliott.
Yeah.
He did struggle last year. Now, I was told that he was working his way through an injury. He never admitted to it. Players don't admit to injury.
Right.
He's just like, I got to be better. That's right. The bottom line. They don't make the excuses. But I was told that he was fighting his way through a leg injury. And it was a weird year because they used their punter to kick off in some situations. They were kind of saving Jake's leg on kickoffs. And maybe they did that because they were concerned about maybe an injury that was out there that he was working his way through and maybe never got to the end of it. But you hope that he's healthier now after these few weeks off. And I also think, Jeff, that a lot of those snaps weren't really good from Rick Lovato. Like toward the end of the season, Lovato was centering the ball on field goals kind of all over the place. He had, he had made the holder reach on a few of those, and maybe that disrupted the timing a little bit, or maybe that was inside Jake's head. Is the ball going to be there when I swing my leg? And that's why Rick Lovato is no longer on this team, to be honest with you, is he struggled with his snapping late in the season, and that could have been a piece to Elliott's struggles. So they have a new long snapper now, a guy that's done it for 10 years, 11 years, Charlie Hewlett, I think his name is. They came over from the Browns. You hope that he's, and the long snapper, you're always overlooked as a long snapper, right?
Absolutely.
The only time they talk about is if you sail one over somebody's head.
Exactly. Yes.
But he was a little wild, I thought, toward the end of the year, and that may have impacted Jake as well.
Yeah, I think that's some good analysis there. We got to keep our eyes on Jake Elliott, folks. And yes, it could have been the long snapper, but it was a bizarre year for Jake Elliott, who's been on this team ever since the Super Bowl year, since 2017, really the first year where we had some questions for sure. And again, folks, we're talking to Ed Kracz from SI.com, Eagles Today, Philadelphia Eagles over on SI. A great follow. Ed, where can folks find you on the interwebs out there if they want to follow you? I know you're on Twitter/X at KratzE. Where else can folks find you out there?
Yeah, that's the best place, Jeff.
Okay.
Just hit me up on the X platform, KRACZE. I put all the links there, but if you want to go into the site and dive a little deeper, there's a few guys writing for the site. And look at their work. It would be SI at www.si.com/NFL/Eagles.
There you go.
So /NFL/Eagles brings you right into the site, and you have a whole menu of stories to look at, not just mine on Twitter.
Fantastic. Absolutely. You guys do such great work over there. And as we're moving along here, Ed, the Eagles defense, I certainly want to talk about, what this unit is going to be this year. They're slated, of course, to be one of the top defenses in the NFL this coming season, based on some general preseason rankings that we have been seeing. And of course, yes, I think they're going to be a very, very good defense and unit this coming year. But I do have some hesitation on how things will go. One, at the safety position, as we've been talking on this podcast platform for the past several weeks, and even from a pass rush standpoint. Look, certain players are going to have to step up in a big way this season, in my opinion, from a developmental perspective, guys who are going to need to fill the holes of Brandon Graham, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, who are no longer on this team. What are your thoughts on some of the holes that we may see on this Eagles defense heading into the season, and some of the depth that we may end up seeing as well?
Yeah, I think Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, was asked this in the spring, and I thought he gave a great answer. As we had a lot of these same questions at different positions and about players heading into last year.
Yeah.
And then it all came together. And he said it's not unlike this year. We have a lot of questions about talent, about positions, and we're just going to have to answer them, find a way to get that answered. So, I thought that was a good answer because he's right. If you think about last year, there were some questions on defense, and how is it all going to come together? And is Quinyon Mitchell going to be the starting corner? And, you can go back and look at all the questions.
Oh,
but
yeah.
now you're right. You have, I think, Brandon Graham, the leadership he provided on defense was huge. I think the same with Darius Slay. I think he was a great leader too. That to me is my biggest question, is where is that leadership going to come from? This is a young defense, probably the second youngest in the league. It's only about 25 years old. The oldest player is Perry Nickerson, who's 30 years old,
right.
and he's not even sure he's going to make the team. And Dory Jackson will be 30 in September. So you don't really have a guy over 30 on this defense. So where's that going to come? Can Zach Bond be the leader that, his stats speak to? Certainly stuffed the stat sheet last year. But, there are concerns, questions for sure. The edge, do they have enough help? After Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith, that's a big concern. But to me, so is leadership. Cornerback, you mentioned no Slay. Can Keely Ringo step in and fill that spot? I think Isaiah Rodgers' loss going to Minnesota in free agency, that's a big one. He was a key reserve player who stepped in for Slay when he had a concussion. Slay didn't, he didn't play every game last year, and Rodgers was there, very vital fill-in, very good at that job. So who's going to do that job? Is it going to be the loser of that cornerback battle between Jackson and Ringo? And can they do it effectively? That probably is my second or third concern. I'd put leadership, edge. Do they have enough on the outside at pass rusher? And then that cornerback spot. Those are two big ones. Because I think Drew Makuba, the second-round pick out of Texas, the safety, I think he's going to end up being the starter next to Reed Blankenship.
I'm hoping he's going to be a stud, because I think losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and yes, while there were some hiccups here and there with his play on the field, 6 interceptions last season, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when he was here. Then the previous 2 seasons before that, it was another 6 interceptions. That's defensive playmaking right there that you're losing. So I have that concern. I definitely have that concern. But Ed, before I let you go, buddy, and I very much appreciate you taking the time to jump on here. And I hesitate to actually ask you this, but it's part of the narrative with this Philadelphia Eagles team at this point in time, as ridiculous as it is, in my opinion. The storylines that just surround Jalen Hurts by much of the more national media types, again, I think it's pretty ridiculous just how he's not a top 5 quarterback in the league. He's if he didn't have this piece or that piece, well, he really wouldn't be that great of a quarterback. He'd be a mid-tier quarterback. Many have said that quarterbacks like Jared Goff and Justin Herbert should be ranked well ahead of Jalen Hurts. And I think that's absolutely crazy. And again, these lists and this type of discussion and narrative, it's all subjective in a lot of ways, but there is proof in that Jalen Hurts has won various playoff games. He has a Super Bowl ring. He has been the MVP of the Super Bowl, which not a lot of quarterbacks in this league can put on their resume. The craziness surrounding this narrative, it drives me nuts. And I did want to ask you, what are your thoughts on this narrative as we're heading into this season here?
Yeah, I'm going to try to bite my tongue here. I was asked about this, and on a radio show the other day, and I found myself yelling in defense that he should be in the top 5. And I apologized. I said, listen, I'm sorry. I'm getting really worked up about this, but that's how much I believe that Hurts is really being disrespected and overlooked. I mean, all this guy does is win. He's a winner. He's a winning quarterback. It doesn't matter how it looks. He wins. And, these guys that are ahead of him, Justin Herbert, the same Justin Herbert that threw 4 interceptions in the playoff loss last year, who has yet to win a playoff game, has only played 2 of them. Lamar Jackson, okay, good quarterback. What's his playoff record? 3-6. It's a little different. I was thinking about this today and Jalen Hurts and what his signature play is. And, I'll say that to me, this is what makes Jalen Hurts a winner. In that NFC Championship game that became a rout, there's 2+ minutes to go in the first half. Washington just scored, made it 14-12 right before halftime. The Eagles are 4th and 5, just inside midfield. And they go for it. And Hurts delivers a beautiful ball down the left sideline to A.J. Brown for a first down that the Eagles finish in a touchdown. That, to me, is a winning throw, a winning quarterback. Can Joe Burrow make that throw at that moment? Can Lamar Jackson? Can any of these guys that are put ahead of him? I'm not so sure. And we've seen him make big fourth down completions, and a lot of them to A.J. Brown, that go for touchdowns or first downs. But the Eagles aren't afraid to put him in that position. So, listen, doubt Jalen Hurts at your own risk. It's certainly going to be a chip on his shoulder for however long it continues, and that's probably a good thing for him and the Eagles.
He continues to rise to the occasion, and until he's not, I'm going to continue to say he's one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and I think you would too. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and I'm glad I was able to keep that under control, Jeff, because that's how strongly I feel about the disrespect he's getting, and he should be more respected.
You're a good friend of mine. You can yell on this show if you want at any point, my friend.
Again, I appreciate that.
He's Ed Kracz, folks. Again, Philadelphia Eagles over on SI Eagles today. My friend, thank you so much for taking the time. Great talking to you. I'm hoping we can connect at some point, maybe during the season, and be great to have you back on, my friend.
Yeah, whenever you get down there, shoot me a text, Jeff.
Nice.
Love to catch up with you.
Sounds good. Take care, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next episode.